Vanquish, God Hard, 0 deaths, max time bonus. This is 3-4, it's called Dragon. And this is another one of those missions where, because you're on an auto-scrolling platform, the time limits seem to be very lenient. And I'm very grateful for that, because as much as I think that this is an interesting level casually, I hate this mission. And I hate it because it's slow and I can't make it fast. Because you've just got to do this, and it's diversification of gameplay, but there's nothing to it really. It's I don't want to shit on it, and I don't want to unnecessarily criticize it, but Vanquish is such a fast game that this is such an interesting change of pace, and it does feel quite tense and interesting the first time you do it. But I've done this level a lot, so to me it's just kinda, I wish it didn't exist, you know, because I want to get back into the action. But the premise is simple, guys. There's going to be a bunch of spotlights that turn up. You want to shoot them with your sniper rifle. When your sniper rifle's reticle turns red, regardless of what you're seeing on your screen, your bullet will hit it. I've done some crazy shots on this. None of them happen in this particular take, because it took a couple times, I'm not going to lie, to get this. And as you can tell, I'm kind of impatient when I'm waiting in a game that's this fast. The only tricky part of this is the middle section, where you have to get off and plant the bombs. There's quite a lot of Gorgies, and they spawn in, so there's a few situations to get yourself in a bad spot, and if you get rushed and you get killed, you have to do this all over again, so it gets a bit frustrating. But once you've done the middle sequence, all you have to do after that is fight a buzzard, and luckily for us, the buzzard just doesn't know what to do when you do the cover glitch to the left on this platform, and you can just heavy machine gun his face until he dies, and it's a very simple, easy fight. But the middle part is definitely where you're going to have the most fun, because it's the most Vanquish area that there is, but up until that point, we're just waiting. And if you use any weapon other than the sniper, it will make too much noise and it can trigger alarms. So you need to be careful of that. The only tough part of this first section is shooting the pilot on the machine. If the guy on the troop carrier turns up and you don't hit him in the head, you're in trouble. Like right there, that was me just having bad aim. On PC, that would have been easy, because PC is god tier for aiming, but on my analog, not so much. And you might wonder what that is, so I can use this as an opportunity to talk about it. You might be new to the channel, this might be the first video of mine you've seen. I play all games on max sensitivity, which means that the movement on the analog is very extreme, but it enables me to aim quickly and turn around fast, and it gives me an advantage. The disadvantage comes from the dead zones on controllers. On a lot of controllers, you can move the analog like a whole bunch, and it will not even move, doesn't even register that you're moving it. So when you try to make micro adjustments on maximum sensitivity, you end up overshooting a lot. And unless you've got, you know, the perfect design on all the sensitivities and the dead zones and just the adjustments on the controller, sometimes on one game the analog can feel amazing, and then you play another game and it feels like shit. Like, I think on this, if I had a PS2 controller, because the dead zones on the PS2 are so sensitive, I think the aiming would be much better. But I don't like the triggers on the PlayStation 3 or the PlayStation 4, so I will never hook those up. And my PS2 controller has one of those flappy, silly connectors that I can't connect with USB because you have to buy a special periphery, and I can't be arsed. But if you're wondering what the controller I'm using, it is a Battlefield 4 like custom controller with rear extra buttons on the back of it and programmable depth on your triggers and toggleable, all kinds of weird garbage. It's a nice controller, but it's not my favourite. I use it for God Hand. It's the God Hand controller, and it's perfect for that because all you do with the analogs is flick them. But keep on shooting, guys, you can do this, it's easy stuff. Such a change as well from the other videos where every moment you've got to be saying what's happening because you might be missing the subtle minutiae. If you're an experienced player, you're obviously spotting all the things that some other players might not be seeing. But that's the end of that sequence. There's 2 more enemies that you can shoot, but the shots on them is quite tricky, and I think it's just for bonus points. Because if you think about this, this is that pirate ship from God Hand, that's all it is. It's a more interesting, more modern, more westernized version of that pirate ship section that I hate in God Hand. But now we get back to the action. So this door's going to drop, and there's going to be a spawn of Gorgies that are going to come down the stairs at the end of this terminal. So if you're going to cover here, there's one guy just chilling there, and then behind him is going to be where all the real fun starts. So as you push forward, you're going to trip it. Here's the first guy, shotgun him, put him down, nice instant kill. And just as we get here, look at him, look how many there is. You can either throw a grenade and get bummed like I did, or you can use the cover. It's entirely up to you. The grenade is a good shout because it gets rid of a lot of the closer enemies, and then you can take your time and thin out the rest of the numbers. But keep on hitting them, get those headshots, and when you fell the last enemy, boost towards that bomb icon, and then plant the first bomb. There is one enemy currently left. He's up on a turret, so you don't have to worry about him. But the moment you go up there, you're going to notice that there will be a spawning bubble that turns up, and it's going to be transporting enemies into the zone. So there's that guy. He's dead. And then as we come across here, the bubbles began to arise. There's 2 of them. So we have a turret. Makes sense to use it, right? That's exactly what we're going to do. The turret sensitivity, just for a little bit of a tidbit of info, is not the same as the controller sensitivity. So if you play on max sensitivity, the turret will not be on max. It's really sluggish. I don't know why that's a thing, but it's even the same on mouse and keyboard. When you're on the mouse and you move around like lightning and your aim's amazing, and then you go on the turrets and it feels like dog shit. But plant the bomb and then immediately start doing the boost dodges to get out of there, get up to the top, and then I think on the top you can detonate it. So once you've detonated it, the platform's going to pull forward, and all you have to do here is get to the platform. You can use a cigarette like I'm going to do, and then once you're on the platform you are safe, and then the only thing left to do is kill the buzzard. So boost over here, it speeds away, which is really nice. Something to experiment with as well. If you're good at the time stop glitch, which all you have to do for the time stop glitch is, while moving forward, when you fire, if you hold dodge and punch at the same time as Sam's right foot touches the floor as you fire, it's kind of tricky to do, it's a very specific timing, you will freeze the game for like a second or sometimes for longer, and then it will go into a melee attack. And if you do that on some of these auto-scrolling levels, you can actually glitch out of the level and get out of the elevators. I did it later on, and it led to an out of bounds, but I couldn't get out of it because I was stuck at the bottom of this big pit. But it's interesting, and you know, you might be able to discover something interesting. I don't think you're going to see me do it in this particular walkthrough, because in all the attempts where I was bored and I was messing around doing it, they weren't the successful attempts. So, unfortunately, you're not going to see me do that, but just Google it. There's videos by Zarok, and it's one of those things where it looks kind of cool, but there's no real function to it other than just looking cool and knowing it exists. It's a little bit like the prompt cancels in God Hand, where they're actually unoptimized. You don't do as much damage if you do them, but they take good timing and they look wonky. And because they look wonky, they kind of look cool, and it gives them like a unique edge. So when you see a lot of players trying to do something different in God Hand, it usually involves those kind of goofy interactions. But do you see what I mean when I said that the buzzard just can't really deal with what I'm doing here? All I'm doing is staying next to this capsule and shoot him in the face, and that's the end of the level. That's a boss, believe it or not. And I really like the buzzards, but you only see 3 of them in the entire game. I wish they were a little bit more frequent. But what's the time? 7 minutes 36, 0 deaths, 5,000 bonus. Thank you very much for watching, and you take care now.